Okay, good morning class. I'm now going to tell you the solutions to question 8 and 9 of exercise 4C. Now, if you look at question 8, it says the lines 2x minus 5 equals to ky and the line k plus 1x equals to 6y minus 3 have the same gradient. Find the possible values of k. Now, I told you already before that in order to have the equation that is in the gradient intercept form, y must be alone and it must be equals to mx plus c. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite this. Can you see that I shift these two? I make y alone. How to make y alone? I divide by k throughout. So I will get y equals to 2 over kx minus 5 over k. So this is my y. Okay, this one will be my gradient. This one will be my gradient. Okay, and this is the y-intercept. Okay, now for the other equation, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make y the subject. That means y is alone on the left side. And I realize that after I manipulated, that means I do some working, my gradient is actually this. Alright, so I've already written both equations, this equation and this equation, in the form y equals to mx plus c. Now, the question says that the two lines have the same gradient. That means 2 over k must be equals to k plus 1 over 6. So I will have 2 over k equals to k plus 1 over 6. I do cross multiplication, I simplify, I get a quadratic equation. I get a quadratic equation, and therefore I will factorize it and solve it. I will have my k as equals to -4 and 3. Alright, now if at any part you need to pause the video to take down notes, please do so. Okay, I'm going to explain once again. I rewrite this equation into the form y equals to mx plus c. This equation also in the form y equals to mx plus c. And since the gradient is the same, I equate the gradient and I use quadratic equation to solve the question. Okay, so I will get k equals to -4 or k equals to 3. That is your answer to question 8 of exercise 4C. Alright, feel free to pause and take down notes. Okay, and complete all this onto your foolscap paper. Okay, now I'm going on now to question number 9. Okay, question 9 is slightly longer, but it's also manageable. Okay, now question 9 says, the line L equals to L, which has the equation 5x plus 6y equals plus 30 equals to 0. Okay, find the coordinates where the line crosses the x-axis. Now, if it crosses the x-axis, it must be something 0. That means when y is 0. Now, when y is 0 and I substitute into this equation, I will get, after solving, x as equals to 6. But since they want the coordinates, I must give it in coordinates form. So the coordinate is -6, 0. So that is how we do 9 part 1. I repeat. When the line cuts the x-axis, y is 0. Substitute y0 into the equation and solve for x. You will get -6 and the coordinates is -6, 0. That will be your part 1. Alright. Now part 2 is find the coordinates of the point of intersection of L with the line x equals to 2. Now when x is equals to 2, I will substitute into the equation x as 2 and I will solve. Now after solving, you will realize that my answer is actually -6 2/3. Okay, that means when I'm solving for part 2, I substitute in x equals to 2, and after I plug everything in, I will get -6 2 over 3. Okay, -6 2 over 3. Alright, so what is the coordinates of that particular point of intersection? Is 2, 6, -6. 2 over 3 because x is 2 and my y is this value, so this one will be the coordinates. Alright, now part 3. Given that P is the point 3, negative 1, find the equation of the line passing through P and having the same gradient as L. Now, P is the point 3, negative 1 and L is this equation. But this equation is not yet in the form y equals to mx plus c. I must put this equation into this form. So what do? I do some manipulation, I shift over and I make y the subject. Okay, then I shift this, become negative 5x, negative 30, then I divide by 6, so I get this. So this one is in the form y equals to mx plus c, whereby my m is this one, negative 5 over 6. So the gradient of the line is negative 5 over 6. Therefore, I have this particular equation, y equals to negative 5 over 6x plus c. But it passes through this line, this point, which is xy. So I will plug in the x, the y here, and the x here, and I will solve. That c is 1.5. Now after I get c as 1.5, I'm able to get the equation of the line, which is y equals to negative 5 over 6x plus 1.5. Okay, so that is the solution to question number 9. Now I'm going to repeat all the parts again. Question 1, just have to plug in y equals to 0 because it cuts through the x-axis and do the multiplication and get this answer. Question 2, substitute in x equals to 2 and get the answer, and this will be the coordinates that is being required. Now question 3 says that the line, another line passes through this point and have the same gradient as this. Okay, so you got to find the gradient, which is negative 5 over 6, put it in this form, substitute this point in, and then find out c as 1.5, and you get the equation as this. Alright, now class, please take all this down in your foolscap paper, and if there's any part that you need to pause, please pause the video and write it down in a foolscap paper and try and understand it. The next lesson, if you still cannot understand 8 and 9, please let me know. Thank you.